The Natterjack toad is a native to sandy and heathland areas of Europe. Adults are typically 60 to 70 millimeters in length and are distinguished from common toads by a yellow line which runs down the middle of the back and parallel parotoid glands. The legs are short, which give them a distinctive gait and earn them the name running toad in much of Europe. In the wild, the Natterjack toad is protected under the Wildlife and Countryside Act 1981 here in the UK, but captive bred animals are exempt from protection under this act and can be legally kept, and have been known to live for over 20 years in captivity. These Natterjack toads are from a long established captive line with their origins in Germany, and we have kept and bred them now for over a decade. During the summer they live outdoors in a mesh top enclosure with a substrate of sandy soil and heathland plants and lots of places to hide. Natterjack toads are habitual burrowers, and we provide them with lots of nooks and crannies underground where they can spend most of the day hiding away. Their living quarters must not be allowed to become overly wet and sodden, particularly in the winter, when we remove them from this outdoor enclosure and place them into a tub which is put in an outbuilding and kept frost-free where they brumate over the winter months. It's springtime, and this group of adults have just awoken from their winter brumation and are now ready to breed. Natterjack toads are pioneer species. They favour newly established or open shallow pools with sparse vegetation. In the wild, these shallow vernal pools warm quickly in the sun, speeding the development of the toad's spawn and tadpoles. In captivity, we replicate this environment by using a tub with shallow water which we heat artificially, either with an aquarium heater stat, or in this case we use a heat mat underneath the tub. We set up the spawning tub outdoors wired through an outdoor socket. The lid is made of wire mesh which allows in the cool air and rain. And this combination of cool air and rain coming in from above and the toads sitting in the warm water below perfectly replicates the environment in which they would spawn in the wild. We add some basic furnishings, a little vegetation for them to wrap their egg strings around, and a couple of logs for them to climb out of the water. And this season we set up a CCTV camera so that we could monitor their breeding behaviour. For a few days, not very much happens and the toads are very quiet. What they're waiting for is rain. The Natterjack toad is known as one of Europe's loudest amphibians, and this puts off a lot of people from keeping them. But actually, throughout the year they're very quiet until the spawning season, when suddenly all hell breaks loose. The racket is over as quickly as it started, and the following morning the toads are in amplexus. Here two males are competing over a female. The stronger animal will win and dislodge his rival, ensuring the vitality of future generations. And the next morning we have toad spawn. The spawn hatches incredibly quickly in as little as 2 days at higher temperatures, or as long as 10 days if the weather is cooler. Here you can see some of the tadpoles have already hatched and have dropped to the bottom of the tub. They are kept outside in full sun and begin to grow very rapidly. This summer has been extremely hot in the UK, and water temperatures of over 35 degrees were recorded in these rearing tubs, with no ill effects to the tadpoles at all. At these temperatures, Natterjack toad tadpoles can grow extremely quickly and complete their larval development within a month. Once their front legs appear, they will soon be ready to leave the water, so we move them on to a different metamorphosis tub with easy access out of the water and a tight fitting lid. Within just a few days now they will have left the water and their tails will have completely absorbed. They can easily climb a vertical pane of glass, so a tight-fitting lid is essential. And once they have left the water, the only change that is needed to this setup is to remove the water and add a little more moss. At this stage they are kept very wet, and it's also important to keep the tubs well ventilated. They started off on a diet of small fruit flies, Drosophila melanogaster, which are dusted with a calcium and multivitamin supplement. After a couple of weeks they can progress to larger fruit flies, Drosophila hydae, and also mini crickets and mini waxworms, which they particularly enjoy. In just a few weeks they've doubled in size, and now their setup is changed again. We now use paper towel as a substrate, with one side being left very dry and the other side being left very wet. It's very important to leave this small gap in between the two pieces of paper towel so that the water doesn't wick across from the wet side to the dry side. They are given places to hide in both the wet side and the dry side, a few pieces of bark and clumps of moss, and this creates a kind of moisture gradient, allowing them to move back and forth between damp and dry areas to suit themselves, in much the similar way that a temperature gradient is created for reptiles. They're only a few months old and they're moving house again. They're now going outside into a very similar setup to what we keep the adults in, just a smaller version. We hope that you have enjoyed this video. We'll leave you with one final reminder that Natterjack toads are fully protected in the wild in the UK. If you wish to keep Natterjack toads yourself, we recommend that you source them from a breeder who is able to provide evidence of captive breeding in much the same way as we have here. We hope that you've enjoyed this video and thank you for supporting the channel.